There has been a great shift in the automotive industry in South Africa. Certain brands have surged in popularity, whilst others have declined. To find out more, Tace is joined by Chery's Director for Strategy in Africa, Neel Hariram.
Well, Neel, nice to see you. We actually have something in common before we start off with the interview, and it's called the Lions rugby team. Yeah, so we're also co-sponsors of them, you know, so, but yeah, in any case, but that's just a fun fact just to throw in there. But Neel, some of the car brands are struggling in South Africa. How has Chery basically managed over the last year?
Tace, firstly, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
We're very humbled to be here. And I think that word of humble needs to come through. Chery is the second surge into South Africa. From 2021, we've re-emerged as a subsidiary. Before we were part of a distributor. So the model changed completely for us. We went from focusing on small vehicles, and then we started focusing on SUVs, where the global trend has become. And then secondly, we gave the South African consumer value.
Yes.
So if on the legacy brands, you'll have to pay extra for certain items. Where we plan our products, we make sure you're getting everything in one package. So you're getting the value for money that South Africans are actually looking for. And so you bang for your buck, basically.
Oh, great. So, but when we look at the Chery models, which one is your top seller, if I want to put it in that way?
Okay, so the Tigo 4 was launched first in November 2021. And currently we're doing about 1,200 cars per month. So that puts us as the second best-selling SUV in South Africa, behind the Corolla Cross, which is produced here. So that's we're very proud that we have those amount of customers in our cars every month, and they're seeing the value. And it's critical for us to continue giving the value to our customers. But we also have a very strategically planned network. So it's a mixture of the big groups and independents. So the whole business value chain is covered.
Great. So just stopping on the Toyota part of the entire thing, because you guys are quite competitive towards them and they're manufacturing in South Africa. Chery, are you guys importing all of your cars at this stage, or are you also manufacturing in South Africa?
So firstly, to the legacy brands, we have a lot to learn from them. They've paved the way for us to where we are today.
Yes.
And it's critical for us to respect that. For us in the future, we will be launching more brands as a Chery group. So we have Chery, which is our mainstream brand, which is our major volume seller, which is doing about 2,000 cars a month. We have Armada and JQ, which is doing about 900 a month. And in the future, we'll have Lepas and our EV brand called ICA. Now, what this covers the entire spectrum for different consumers. And we have different dedicated network lines which cover different consumer bases. So this is very important for us. We have 60,000 customers over the last 3 years. That's a big value for us. A lot of people are coming in, trusting our brand, and we are currently tracking at 20% higher than we were last year.
Excellent.
Right. On the future, on the production side, we do understand that we are a critical volume mass at the moment, where we are investigating, where a feasibility study is in place for the last 6 months on local production. If we have a volume ambition going forward, and we want to meet that, we need to have some sort of local production.
Great. Let's talk about some challenges in the consumer market at this stage, because inflation is under control, but we have other elements that basically also plays a role. With our GDP that's not really growing, the jobless figure just growing, etc., etc. And then if we're going to look at the fuel prices, especially now, also coming along. So let's talk about hybrid models. Are you guys also getting into that space at some stage?
So as a group, as of last Friday, we have a new energy vehicle, NEV models for each of our models. So the Tigo Cross HEV, the Tigo 7 PHEV, the Tigo 8 PHEV, and the Tigo 9 PHEV, which we're launching pretty soon as well. Excellent. And this gives us range, so we can go up against a diesel consumer, which we're very popular with the buckies and so forth. Which we can get up to 1,200 kilometers on a tank.
Really?
That's on the PHEVs. So full tank and a full charge. So the system works together to give the best value. And then on our Tigo Cross Hybrid, can do up to 1,000 kilometers on a tank. on a small SUV. And we're starting off at 439,900. So
I wanted to ask you the price range on it.
So we're actually putting the value, taking the value back to the customer.
That's excellent.
And going forward, just to give you a fun fact from my side, we hardly do price increases over the last few years. We try to maintain the consumer pricing. I think we did in 2002, 2003, we did about a 3,000 Rand per model increase. So the idea is to maintain the space of the price band. So the consumer that we're targeting is still maintained. It's not a 10 or 20% or 15% increase. We're trying to maintain that for our dealers' profitability and for our consumer value.
So I've also read, on your website that you guys actually have a ratio of about 98% of, parts always being available to you guys. How do you maintain that? Is it because of your distribution channel? Is it because of just good management? Because if there's one thing, especially on a German-made cars, not naming any in the model or whatever the case is, but it seems to be always a lack of some parts that's not always available.
Okay, so I'm going to answer this question in two parts. The first part, Chery is an exporter out of China. For the last 22 years, we have been the #1 exporter of automobiles and parts out of China.
Interesting.
Right, so we know how to export. We haven't focused versus other Chinese brands on exporting.
Okay.
Right, and then the second part is our team. Chery is a very intense place to work.
Yes.
But on the Chery sales side, we have JJ Bottas, who is the GM of the brand, and his team has done a great job on the sales specific and developing the network. And on the after sales side, we've got an expert in Floris de Toit, who his team is absolutely amazing. It's one of our biggest staff content in his department. So we have a lot of experts that are actually driving the strategy and the rollout to our network.
Well, it does definitely show that you guys know what you're doing. But in this consumer market, just quickly in 20 seconds, is there any challenges that you guys are facing with the, the exports, imports, thing with the Donald Trump administration?
So as our CEO, Tony Liu, speaks about it, these are challenges, but these are opportunities for us.
Okay.
So yes, we do understand there's certain areas that, the challenges with the Donald Trump tariffs and whatever else. But in that case, that opens up our avenue to the non-traditional markets to have access to.
Okay, great.